Hey everybody, welcome back to Game Break. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a tribute review. So what does that mean? By and large, this video is just an opportunity for me to talk about Grandia, why I think it's a great game, why it's an experience everyone should have, and the impact it had on me as a youth. And it has review in the title, so I will touch on the little things I think maybe it did wrong or could have done better, but by and large, this is just a chance for me to gush about the game. And honestly, I think all the things it does right pretty much completely eclipses overwhelmingly the things it does wrong, and that's why everyone should play it. So let's give this game the tribute it deserves. Since this is a tribute review, there will be extensive spoilers throughout, so this is your only warning. So turn back now if you don't want any. As soon as you boot up the game, Grandia's epic title score starts. And when eventually the opening crescendo hits its zenith, you feel something special. There's the promise of something epic in the score, and Game Arts, the developer of Grandia, delivers it. The opening cinematic instilled within me a sense of wonder and very much reminded me of a Studio Ghibli film playing at this time around. Think Nausicaa Valley of the Wind or Laputa Castle in the Sky. This game is filled with warmth and immediately instilled within me a sense of wonder and an instant instillment of curiosity at what was in store for me. I have played a lot of RPGs, not gonna lie to you, like a lot. But no other RPG like Grandia has made me feel like I was going on a true adventure. In Grandia, I truly felt like I was going to the new world. And I truly felt like I was going beyond the end of the known world when the game takes you there. And by journey's ends, I truly felt like I had accomplished something. And I felt like the characters that I went on this journey with in the game had truly grown as well. And the ending to this game is just so rewarding. And it's been in my memory for 20 plus years, ever since I beat the game. And it was there again when I beat it again recently. So before I talk about more about the characters in the story, I'm going to talk about the game's design, its gameplay, and its fucking frankly kick-ass combat. So let's get into it. One of the things most synonymous with Grandia is its battle system, focused around the concept of the initiative point gauge. Many RPGs during the era Grandia was produced were still turn-based affairs, but with the initiative point gauge, Grandia added a new element of complexity, which upped the sense of urgency in battle. Shortly after battle begins, both you and the enemy start moving rapidly along the IPG gauge meter. Both of you can start to interrupt or outright cancel each other's attacks, making the choice of who to target and when during combat a crucial element that, if not carefully paid attention to, could quickly lead to death, especially during boss fights. As the player, you can easily view which enemies are attacking specific characters and the types of attacks they have planned, allowing you to prioritize appropriately which enemies needed to be dropped first, forcing you to weigh whether to cancel their abilities with a critical hit, if you have the time to, or if you should perhaps defend. This battle system is fast, it's fun, you have to have strategy when you use it, and it just makes it that much more frustrating we haven't had a new Grandia game in years, because this is one of the best RPG battle systems in RPGs, period. In Grandia, the more you use a specific type of elemental magic, the stronger it will become. You can also combine different elements to create powerful new magic. And leveling up certain elements means an increase in a specific character stat, such as strength or HP, in addition to learning new spells. But this system of leveling magic and its impact on your character's overall stats is not perfect and can be very unbalanced. This system can be easily abused by players, and if you spend any decent amount of time grinding, you can become very overpowered very early on in the game and just steamroll through it. Using weapons and learning new weapon skills works identical to the magic system, and also influences which character stats increase. There are even weapon abilities that combine with certain magical elements, which allow you to level both skills at once, and at an expedited rate, letting you learn abilities even faster than usual, making elemental weapon abilities a potent leveling tool. You are also given incentive not to focus on any one particular weapon or magic type, as utilizing an underleveled type of weapon or magic gains you extra experience points, allowing you to level quickly and fill any holes in your magic index or in character stats. This acquisition of character stats allows for the opportunity of a great amount of min-maxing for people who are into that sort of thing. The sprite work in this game is phenomenal, and it's reflected in how great magic attacks look in battle, as well as characters' own unique weapon attacks. So having said that, battle montage. God, I love this game. And even amongst all those special abilities, there exist some that are arguably game-breaking for how powerful they are. The two biggest examples I can think of are Fina's Time Gate, stopping time for every ally and enemy character on the field, except for her for multiple turns, and Liete's Enclose Attack, which prevents a single enemy, including bosses, from making any sort of move for an extended period of time. Now, feeling like I've done the combat system some justice, I feel like it's time to talk about Grandia's design a little bit. Grandia is very much the classic JRPG, as it is a linear experience for the most part. And I love this aspect of the game, as it enables it to tell its story with good pacing. Grandia very much follows the formula of visiting new towns and cities, stocking up on new items, experiencing new story beats in a given area, and then moving on to the next dungeon, town, or destination, whatever, which I totally enjoy. And while the game does not have an overworld map to explore, it still does have a few completely optional side dungeons to visit in order to enjoy the game's combat. And a smart design decision for these areas was to restrict the amount of experience gained in order to prevent over-leveling. But even though you don't gain a lot of experience from these side areas, you still do acquire new items, armor pieces, and unique weapons, which are more powerful than you would get if you had just continued on with the main story. So you end up stronger for doing them anyway. There is no mini-map in Grandia. Instead, you have map points that zoom out, giving you an overhead perspective of where to go. And a simple compass that indicates where the exit of any given zone is. It is definitely an old school system, but it works just fine for this game, and is often more than sufficient enough to guide the player without any major hassle. And something I always loved about the Grandia games was the option to instantly heal at save points. And these save points out in the field generally indicate that a boss encounter is right around the corner, so your party is able to face bosses fully charged with all of their abilities at their disposal, which I personally really like. And in Grandia, I love the towns, villages, and cities that you get to visit and explore. They're full of NPCs you get to talk to, and something nice about them is after significant story beats, they generally have brand new sets of dialogue for you to enjoy. And through talking to these NPCs, you often have your characters interacting with each other and them. displaying their personality, and you just get a chance to get to know them better outside of the main story. And plus, NPCs often have a lot of world building to offer you and backstory for a lot of the events that are happening, making it a more enriching experience. Even at inns throughout the game, you are able to often have meals with your party members and enjoy a chance to interact with one another, to learn more about the characters and deepen bonds. The character portraits used during dialogue are just plain perfect. The character designs are absolutely charming, showing off a great deal of emotion, and always seem appropriate for the type of situation the party is in. And they play a critical role in telling this game's story in an impactful way. All the characters in this game are generally lovable. And while some are given more screen time than others, and you're able to get to know them better, even the characters that join you for a limited amount of time, or later on in the game, they still leave a lasting impression. And a nice little design decision the creators of Grandia put into this game is that any party member who leaves permanently leaves a piece of themselves behind for the party's benefit. This benefit comes in the form of items that contain the departed character's magic and weapon experience to be used freely on the remaining party members to grant them an experience bonus. It's a nice little touch, almost like saying, even though I am gone, our experiences together have made us all stronger. In order to truly pay tribute to this game, I need to talk at length about its characters and story. So this is definitely the point of no return. If you don't want to be spoiled for major story beats and character moments, get the hell out of here. Otherwise, let's continue. A good RPG needs characters you care about, and Grandia handles that task with ease. The first two characters we meet are Justin, our main protagonist, and his adorable friend Sue. I'll be honest, I didn't really know what to make of Justin when I first met him. He almost seemed too young and childish to be the protagonist. However, Justin unapologetically chases his dreams and sets his goals towards achieving them. It is something that everyone wishes they had the courage to do. And it is what makes his journey one worth investing in. He starts off the adventure as a little brat, but he slowly grows and matures into a man. And by journey's end, it is astounding to see how much he has grown. It is almost incomprehensible given where he started. And then there's little Sue, the precocious yet adorable friend who would follow Justin anywhere and do anything for him. And her thirst for adventure rivals Justin's own. On the way to the new world, there's also Fina, who is strong, brave, and knows what she wants in life, just like Justin. And with her inclusion, this game suddenly has a romantic subplot brewing, and it is delightfully sweet to witness. There are also several other party members we meet, such as Gadwin, the absolute unit of this game, and the party's surrogate big brother figure, Rap, whom is the problem child of his own village and Justin's new best bud, Milda, the one-woman wrecking crew, and Guido, or Guido if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the enigmatic merchant, and finally the mysterious Liette of Alent. This game's focus is about you going on an adventure. And do you ever? It hammers home that point time and time again throughout the journey. And even though this game's initial start to said adventure can be a bit on the slow side, if players give this game a fair chance and stick through with, what many might consider to be a bit of a slog at the beginning, I know they won't regret it and they'll have a wonderful experience. During the game's first few hours, you are given the story's main hooks. What happened to the ancient civilization of Angelo? How do I get to Alent? What were the Icarians? And what is this spirit stone I possess? After a handful of hours of getting familiar with the game's heroes, antagonists, and its world, it is soon time to depart and say goodbye to your home and family. Justin's departure from his hometown of Parm is no small thing. He and his mother obviously have a loving relationship, and both know it will likely be many, many years before they are reunited. Before Justin's departure, the final letter he reads from his mother is a heartwarming and truly bittersweet moment that is accompanied by Grandia's main score, signifying the start of the adventure. Grandia does not really set up its grand conflict for much of the game. It's very much lighthearted in tone and atmosphere, and this is further reflected by the game's villains, the Garlisle forces. I'll just put it out there right away. For most of the game, the Garlisle forces are the Team Rocket of the Grandia world. Justin and company are constantly bumping into them in their search for Alent and are constantly able to thwart Garlisle to comedic effect. Within Garlisle, you have the obvious big bad based on his goatee, eye patch, and the fact he shares his name with a god, General Ball. His son, who means well but comes off as a bit of a jerk, Colonel Mullen. His mysterious aide-de-camp, Lieutenant Lean, and the three sadistic yet thirsty sergeants, Saki, Nana, and Mio, who are always pining for Mullen's attention. The fact that Garlisle doesn't seem to pose any particular serious threat through most of the game fits perfectly for the world Grandia is trying to build. More on Garlisle later. One of the game's most epic and memorable story moments is trying to bypass the literal end of the world. The scaling of this impossible barrier to brave the true unknown is one of the pinnacle moments of the story. I can still remember years ago when I first topped the wall at the end of the world in Grandia and the vast stretches of unknown territory that laid out before me that I got to go explore, and that everyone I had met on this journey before that point had never even considered climbing over the wall, had never been beyond it, and I got to. Just the wonder and the sense of curiosity and the anticipation was like nothing I'd ever felt in the game before, and that's why I'm doing a tribute in part, because it's moments like that that make this game truly wonderful. When I play an RPG, I love seeing what comes next in terms of new areas to explore. And Grandia was able to ramp up that anticipation to unprecedented levels for me. But crossing the end of the world has consequences. After scaling the wall and facing the great unknowns beyond, the party suffers its first loss, and the first casualty is Sue. The loss of Sue is the first of several moments in this story that signify a great shift in tone for Grandia's story. And Sue's departure is one that has always stuck with me, and it hit me almost just as hard playing it years later. Sweet little Sue, who is more of a child than even Justin, just cannot keep up with the party anymore due to being so young. And it is heartbreaking to watch. Sue makes the very adult decision to go home and to not be a liability for her friends. She tries to brush it off as no big thing, but she's still a child after all, and she succumbs to her feelings of guilt, loss, and sadness as she makes her final goodbyes. In this moment, Justin faces some crucial character development as he is forced to grow and leave behind his ties to home, for he has truly lost his last real anchor to it by losing Sue, and must now carry on without it. And if that weren't bad enough, you have to duel your big bro Gadwin at his behest. And after your victory, he leaves you to continue his own journey of personal growth, therefore leaving you and Fina alone to fumble around with awkward feelings for one another, which I must admit was fun to watch after everything else that just happened. Shortly after losing 2 members of your party, it becomes clear the Garlisle forces are no longer comical villains. It is discovered they are conducting experiments on an unknown biological entity called Gaia and causing the death of countless humanoids with seemingly no remorse. And their atrocities are the main reason why you team up with Rap and Milda initially. Upon the discovery of what the Garlisle forces were doing, I was shocked initially. I did not see it coming. It seemed like a total 180-degree turn to me in terms of the game's tone and mood. And it all of a sudden gave the story a real sense of urgency along with a darker tone. And straight up, I ate it up. I loved what was happening with the story suddenly. This adventure had become something serious, and I was fully invested in seeing on where everything led. While Gaia is indeed the main threat to the world of Grandia, greed is the true enemy and main threat to mankind's continued existence in this world. And General Ball is greed manifest in human form. I found General Ball to be fairly standard fare as villains go, but I will say his reveal of having fused with Gaia, combined with Justin Fina's epic fall, was an absolutely memorable moment for me personally. The other 2 characters that are given more depth in this story shift are Colonel Mullen and Fina's twin Ikarian sister, Lieutenant Lean. Mullen's mutiny against his father and Lean's desire to protect everyone, combined with her eventual sacrifice to stop Gaia's spread, further added to the game's mature tone in the latter half. Lean's sacrifice also deeply affecting Fina, forcing her to come to terms with the fact she's an Ikarian and to grapple with what it means to her, and if she will let that fact determine the course of her life. I feel like I'm forgetting something. What could it be? Right, the absolute fire that is this game's soundtrack. Like this example, if you get ambushed by an enemy, and you should get ambushed by enemies, because this battle track is one of the best ones ever made. Shit, even the Garlisle theme is good as hell. But Cody, you ask, is it only the game's battle themes that are really good? No. The victory fair after battle is one of the best I have ever heard in an RPG. Heck, even the song that plays when you swab the deck is upbeat and fits perfectly with the game's mood. And it even has hauntingly beautiful melodies, like the one that plays in Alent, which perfectly encapsulates the sadness of Liette and her existence. Now, one thing that people have ragged on Grandia about is its English voice acting. And I hear ya. But for me, I was born a while ago. And I played the game when it was first released. on the PlayStation. So I didn't really have any frame of reference for poor English voice work or acting at that point in time. So I was able to fully enjoy it and I didn't cringe once. But if that's an issue for you, the English voice acting, there is the HD collection and you have the option for the Japanese voices now. So it shouldn't be a problem. But for me, I love the voice work. I can listen to it, but I can understand people going into it fresh today would find it probably atrocious and unbearable to listen to. Now, the last thing I need to talk about in this tribute is Grandia's ending. Now, usually I'm a sucker for darker stories and storytelling, but I'm a sucker for a happy ending. And Grandia has one of the happiest, most fulfilling and satisfying endings I've ever experienced in an RPG. And having experienced again recently, I'm that much more appreciative for it, because so much media nowadays, it tries to be edgy or subvert expectations and just can't stick the landing. And that's another reason why Grandia is so great, because it wraps everything up so perfectly. Grandia's ending has it all if you want a happy one. The return of the spirits, Lean being spared from certain death to reunite with Mullen, the myriad races of the world living together, and the reunion of Sue, Justin, and Fina 10 years later was the icing on the proverbial cake for me and cemented this game in my heart forever. Grandia does not need a score from me. It's beyond a score. It's beyond a 10 out of a 10. It's beyond 100 out of 100. It is one of the RPG genre's essential games to play. And if it's been a long time since you played it, and you're maybe just watching this review, or if you're watching this review as someone who's never played it and was just really curious, go play it again. Go find the Sega Saturn version, the PlayStation version, the new HD collection on PC or Switch, whatever version you want to play. They all have their pros and cons from a, development standpoint, but they all have the same characters and journey. And it's one definitely worth taking. This has been my tribute for Grandia, or Grandia. I keep going between the two. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this game break. See you later, gamers.